Does he have the capacity to mobilize the nation and take us to the election we need? He has been traversing the country in the recent past. A lot has happened, but we need to touch base with him and he let us know what is happening. To join this conversation, the hashtag is MorningNTV. Make sure that your language is not sectarian, it's not tribalistic, and it's not in any way inciting and abusive. The hashtag is MorningNTV. Those who have questions for the presidential candidate Joseph Kabuleta, I'll be tapping those questions and asking him. And we have started this conversation at exactly 7:46. We'll go up to 8:46. That's how long we have with the presidential candidate. Good morning, Your Excellency in waiting.
Good morning. How are you doing?
How have you been, Joseph?
I've been good. I've been fine. I've been exhausted. I've been stretched, but I've learned a lot.
Oh yes.
And it's been a wonderful experience.
The trail.
The trail.
Well, to start with, do you have enough to ensure that Uganda will be you'll be Uganda's 10th president come the 10th of May this year?
Enough in form of.
In form of capacity, in form of strategies and structures.
I believe I have enough in form of ability.
Okay.
The other things will come with time.
Okay.
Because capacity, as you said, independent. You know, there is a lot that comes with the party.
Oh yes.
Especially if it's an established party that has been there for a while. And even the structures, okay, not necessarily structures, but you know, the things you can do with the liberty you have with as a party candidate is different from what you have as an independent. But I think I have everything that it takes
to be the next one.
To be the next, absolutely everything that it takes. I have no doubt about that, and I think everybody who has heard me thinks that well, I would make a very wonderful president.
The 10th president.
The 10th president.
We have had a question that has kept on coming back and forth about what it takes to run a presidential campaign. What does it take to run a presidential campaign now that you've been, you know, nation trotting from left, right, and center in terms of psycho preparation, your mental stability, and the finance?
The finance, of course, is the first place that you start because it's very expensive. You need to have a team of people who are helping you do all sorts of things. And thankfully, I've had a team that has been effective and even in carrying on tasks for the campaign without necessarily requiring resources from us as a campaign. And, you know, the traversing the nation, of course, the whole scientific thing, I've chosen to go the scientific way.
But is it scientific from what is happening on the ground?
It is not scientific, but you see, because I do not want to, there are certain things I don't want to attract.
Oh yes.
So I chose from the beginning that I do not want to attract police brutality because I do not want anybody to die on my campaign trail, and I do not want you know, the death of somebody on my conscience. My conscience is a bit too, you know, sensitive for things like that. For somebody dying, and it's you know, that
is on Kabuleta's head.
That is on Kabuleta's head. I do not want that. So I decided I will not do certain things.
Okay.
And but thankfully, I do not have to do them because I've made the campaign about my message, my message going ahead of my personality. So I do not have to build crowds in a certain way. I have to just get a platform to propagate my message, and as long as the message goes forth, and people understand it, that's and I've been winning over people just through the message.
Okay.
Because of course, what people have been used to, and all the campaigns have been about one thing only, and that is, you know, personalities, you know, building personalities, you know, and of course, personalities are, you know, strengthened by crowds and things like that, and you know,
numbers don't lie. That's what they say.
Numbers don't lie when it comes to the ballot, because the truth is this, and I'll be honest with you. If of course, if the election is free and fair, and that's a big if, but I'll be very honest with you. It is not that difficult to get certain numbers if you have a basis of them.
Okay.
If you move with a certain number of people, and there is a lot of interest in the public to hear what candidates have to offer. And now this is a thing that all this, you know, scientific thing has denied people, because this elective season comes every 5 years. There are people who really want to hear what something new, what candidates offer, because their lives depend on, you know, all these things. Now I'll give you an example. I was traveling from Masindi. I was supposed to be in Luwero, and it had been put on the list of those, places
highlighted, yes,
highlighted
COVID-sensitive areas.
So I cancelled all my meetings in that place. I had a number of meetings there, so I had to cancel them because of the same reasons. And so I was supposed to drive past, drive past Luero.
Yet it was on your schedule.
It was my schedule. So I actually I just stopped for a brief bathroom break somewhere just at a petrol station.
Yes.
Now, as soon as I jumped out of my car to go to ease myself, somebody recognizes me and shouts. I hear somebody shouting, "Kabuleta!" By the time I come out,
they're already there.
There is a crowd of people there.
You have to address them.
And I have to talk to them. But I spoke to them for a very short time because ultimately, the people you're with, your escorts, are the ones who are going to call the police and say,
now you know.
I knew it from the start. So they are the ones who are going to say.
Your escorts are the ones who inform police.
Exactly. And now you come and I don't want, because the minute they come, then you know what they do. They come, and so people gather there and they're asking you questions. What's this? What are you going to do about this? And so on. And you answer them, very briefly as you're looking at your watch. And in a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, you have to be on your way. Now it would be, of course, not wise for you to ignore them altogether.
Oh, yes.
So you have to talk to them. And then they get excited. In a very short time, they're excited, and others are gathering. Then what? Then you have to say, sorry, you people, I cannot be here, so I have to get out of here. But now I'm thinking, imagine those people. They and they're not necessarily even, but they're not necessarily there because they are my supporters. Of necessity, but the thing is, they want to hear what candidates have to offer, and they would want to sit down, ask you questions about their lives, and what are you going to do if you become president, and things like that, and just an opportunity to actually hear from a candidate.
What do you make of the populace in this wake of elections, vis-a-vis the previous elections? As a former journalist, I'm sure you've covered some elections. You've seen how far we've come as a democracy. What do you make of this generation populace with regards to elections?
The thing is, I think the one thing that this particular populace have that their previous haven't had is this time there is an interest in the issues concerning the election.
Okay.
Now, previously, I'll tell, for instance, in 2016, there was a lot of, I am either for this candidate or for the other candidate. And of course, there was two strong candidates. And it didn't matter what came thereafter. Regardless of what everyone said, those who were this side were this side, those who were the other side were the other side. Now, there are so many people who are there to be won over, depending on what it is you say. And that's the truth. That's the honest truth. There are people.
How did we get there that people are no longer inclined to the political parties where they fall, but they're waiting for someone with a solution, someone who is going to address? How did we get to that level?
I think we got there because people have realized how important politics is in their day-to-day lives.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot of biting poverty. The lockdown and the things that came with it actually increased the level of poverty. Now, politics is not just a preference, the way you prefer one football club over the other.
Oh, yes.
No. Now people see that this is not just about a preference. This is about how it is going to impact me.
Oh, yes.
And because they have gone through a very terrible period in this. So now, when you start associating candidates with your lifestyle, then you become a bit more woke in the way you approach these things. It's not just, going this candidate. You say, okay, I want to like you, but tell me what it is.
Give me a reason.
Give me a reason. Tell me what it is. I have to benefit from your candidature. Now, you have to benefit. You have an ambition. You want to be president. Good for you. But now, I want to know how I stand to benefit
as a citizen
from your presidency. Now, that's the question people have been asking. And it's a very simple question. And it's, of course, something that I've been answering all over the place. And I've been to places where you go there, want to see, of course, they see the easy car and what, and so the presidential candidate, so they come. And, of course, places where I was cleared to go and, speak to some people and so on. And you speak to them, and they ask you questions, you answer them, and and they keep on asking you. You answer the questions. You tell them how they stand to benefit as a people, what potential they have in the place they are in, because this country is full of potential. So you tell them that in this place you can actually become wealthy from these things which are within here, if you had a government that enables that sort of thing, and then you raise hope then eventually people start seeing that actually it is possible. And you're relating with things which are right there.
Yes.
And by the time you leave, people are convinced. There was a place I left, people said, just leave us posters. We know other candidates are coming here. And,
but we get you back.
And the president was the one coming next.
Yes.
He said, but don't worry. We have decided it seems you are somebody who cares about, the welfare of people. And that's the message we put across.
Kabuleta, you've said one of the key issues that one should be ready for before they go on the campaign trail is about money. Where are you getting your money? Who is funding you? Because one candidate, and that's the president, has been on record saying that there are elements, external elements, that are trying to cause, havoc and anarchy in the country, and they are funding some elements of change to distort the peace and all that. Who is funding you? Or if you prefer to tell us who is funding you, what other avenues are you using to get money that are funding your campaign trails? Because it's quite a very heavy budget.
It is a very heavy budget, and it's been a very heavy budget. I can't say that I've done everything I would have wanted to do. But here's the thing, there is no election anywhere in the world right now. A national election where there are no foreign and local, of course, trying to have an interest there. There could be countries that want to have a business in that place and want to support a candidate in exchange at some stage, maybe perhaps for a deal. And there's so many things happening here. There's a lot of things that are yet to be signed in regard to the resources of this country. So there are so many countries that have an interest
in our country.
And now it regardless of what the country is, even if it was, I don't know what country you can think of, the small country, even if it was Burundi, there would still be foreign elements trying to use money to influence the elections in a particular direction. Money and other things.
Yes.
So the fact that the president presupposes that the only foreign people are going to be the people who are supporting him, he's joking. That's not how it works. That's not how it works in any democracy.
Come on,
there has to be other people interested in other candidates. Now, the only difference is Kabuleta is the only one who is not funded from outside. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean that. That was a slip of the tongue. I mean, there must be others, but Kabuleta is not funded from any outside source.
Okay.
It is all within the country. It is all internal, and it is all people who have bought into the ideas. Now, the thing is, when I first came out, and a lot of people come and say, okay, we've known you this way or the other way, so now tell us, what is it you have for the country?
What is the agenda?
What is the agenda? And they sit down and listen to you. And a lot of them, actually, having listened to you, don't just offer support in words. They offer support in some money as well.
Okay.
The issue is, how do they do that without, attracting a lot of attention? A lot of attention, and some of them, of course, have a lot to lose, so they do not want
their names to be mentioned.
Exactly.
Even the Financial Intelligence Authority.
There is nothing wrong with what they are doing as far as the Financial Intelligence Authority is concerned.
No, to you.
To you.
Because your accounts keep growing.
The thing is, the Financial Intelligence Authority is supposed to be dealing with money that comes from outside laundering and what, not people contributing to their,
within the country
to their favorite presidential candidate. Unfortunately, they extend their arm in there because they are there to influence how money is spent. Because the one thing Museveni fears in this election is money, because money can topple him so easily, because it's the only advantage he would have on anybody. Other than that, people are tired of everything he has done. People are tired of all the things he said. Nobody believes him any longer. I hope I'm not getting you in trouble by saying this.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Nobody. So the only advantage he has is superior finance. Now he's so scared that somebody can come and get that. And now once they have that, he's finished. Regardless of the rigging machinery and all that, once a candidate has a certain war chest of money in this country, the rigging will not help you, because you have an opportunity to get for all influence all sorts of platforms to do things that other people do, to build teams that he uses, of course, the machinery to build, in terms of everything he has to offer, jobs and so on. Now imagine you could build such a machinery, have people all across the country and have them funded to a certain degree and so on. Now we are doing a lot of that thing just through voluntarism, people volunteering, and they have been tremendous, to be honest, but some of them spending their resources. I've been places where I find billboards of Kabuleta, and I didn't contribute a coin,
but it's there.
And the people in that place who bought into the message, did that and got into the. So imagine if I could actually
afford
to do all those. So the one thing Museveni is dreadfully scared of in this election is another candidate having money, because it's his only advantage.
So that takes me to the question of commercialization of politics. You've been traversing the entire nation. How bad has this merchandising of the vote affected people's mindset from the real issues to the money?
Now the thing is, people are not stupid. They know who has money and who doesn't have money.
So they
I'll give it like this: if there's a beautiful girl there, and we are both interested in her, and let's say one of us has money, and the other has superior game, let's say, she will know this one only has money to offer, this one has ideas to offer.
Oh yes.
And she will receive,
both
based on that. So if let's say Chamagere is the broke guy who has game,
but with ideas.
Yes. So she is not going to ask for something from you because she knows that you do not have it.
Oh yes.
But then she knows you have something else to offer.
Oh yes.
That is more than the money.
Yes.
Now, if Kabuleta is the guy who has the money, for instance, when I come, she's not going to expect anything. She just says, I want this, I want I want my rent pet. So, yeah, exactly. So now when Kabuleta goes to campaign, I'm the guy with ideas. I'm the guy with game. So I don't need a lot of money. Of course, there will be people here and there, they say, sanitizer. And by sanitizer, they mean something to drink.
Oh, yes.
Sanitize the other. I don't know where this language
You have picked the language. That's the language of the street.
That's the language of the street.
That's how we thrive.
Of course, I picked it because I've been there looking for votes. So, but they know that your limitations. They know your limitations, but they're interested in hearing what you have to say.
The ideas.
They have questions, and they actually, if you engage them, they can keep you there for 3 hours. It's just that you don't have that time.
Wow!
But they have interesting questions. Very pertinent questions about their life, about this. How come this is like this? How this is how come ABC? You go to the village and somebody asks you a question and you're shocked. How come we sell electricity to Kenya, but their tariffs are cheaper than ours?
And we don't still have a national grid reaching the villages.
Yes, okay, that's a different story. But then how come their electricity is cheaper than ours? Yet they buy a lot of electricity. At least some electricity from here.
Yes.
Now, that's what you would expect from somebody like you.
In Kampala.
Yes. But then you find that in the village and you look and say, excuse me, and somebody has asked you that and he's serious.
So they're knowledgeable in a way.
Exactly. And the thing is, I set out from the beginning to speak to Ugandans like they are intelligent.
Yes.
Because they are, you see, and that I set out from the beginning to speak to them like they know what they want, because they do. Now the thing is, a lot of people think they don't.
Yes.
And a lot of people think that you can skirt over the issues and just, and jump and so on. Jump and, just say a few things here and there. Actually, they don't want that. They want real issues, because they have realized that this is not just about one person over the other. I told you.
It's a collective approach.
But this is about my life. Whoever of these people, let's say, happen to win, where do I stand to benefit? That's actually how people are looking at it.
They're benchmarking
on their own
regardless of the money.
Regardless of the money. Now, if somebody comes with money, of course they need it.
Yes, they will take it.
But
they will vote.
But they will vote according to other things.
Okay.
Not necessarily them. And by the way, that has really changed. That's one thing that has changed now. Because I found places where there has been money spent. And somehow the electoral roadmap has put me in and around the same place as the president. So either I am leaving a place he's coming, or I'm coming to a place he's leaving. So you've been to places where people have spent, and not necessarily himself, but even some of his people.
Yes.
His people who have
who buy his ideas.
Yes, and have thrown around money and so on. And then the people who are asking questions, and very pertinent questions, are people who are even dressed in the entire NRM garb and have picked some money, but they are totally not. I've had candidates at all sorts of levels, from LCs up to MPs councillors and so on, who are in certain parties, but they're interested by ideas, and they are my supporters, and they will come dressed in a certain way, in certain colors, and I don't care about that. But
money, ideas.
Let's see. Okay, money. You give us money. That's all you have to offer, and that's all the incumbents have to offer. Okay, now that we have your money, please, you had better be on your way. And now, then somebody else comes, let's hear your ideas. I think I prefer these ideas. And at the end of the day, actually, there's people who are making up decisions. And that's what I find interesting.
You've been running a campaign making a case for the financial liberations of Ugandan. To bring it closer to my Montua once they say Kabuleta Center,
Yes.
What have you seen on the campaign trail, and what is this financial liberation you're talking about?
Oh no, people have had their hands tied in as far as everything they've wanted to do to earn a living. If you talk to businessmen here, they will tell you how punitive the taxes are. Indeed. And how they make it very difficult for anybody to actually thrive in the business environment. So those who have thrived in the business environment in this country have actually had to swim through the shark, through the crocodile-infested waters. So they are not liberated. They are not free. They don't feel the sense of freedom. They know that there is a regime that can come and pick down on any business interest you have and take it out for the people who are privileged, you understand? So somebody comes and starts, let's say the people who started sports betting and so on, and then they build it to a certain level. Then they say, okay, now that there's a lot of money here, now thank you very much for all the groundwork. Now it belongs to certain class of people, privileged class of people. So there is no liberation really, number one. So one of it is punitive taxes. Of course, there are so many other issues. The other is the absence of markets, the destruction of the agriculture sector, the absence of commercialization of the agriculture sector. So many people have tried so many things in the agriculture sector and they have failed. And usually they fail them using things like laws, the coffee law, the vanilla law, which get something which was thriving and actually kill it using a law. And the law is supposedly to regulate. That's the thing they always use. Yes. But they kill a thriving industry by just creating a law which is unnecessary.
So how are you fixing that, Mr. Kabuleta?
By removing those unnecessary laws and actually putting, systems that make it so easy for those things to thrive. For instance, vanilla was thriving. It thrived for only one season. It threatened to do one thing that this government doesn't want to do, at least the president.
Giving people money.
Giving rural people money. Now, if somebody threatens to give rural people money, wherever Museveni, even if he was on a sick bed, he would come out of there and come and say, who is waking up my people? I mean, who is showing them? Because his idea has been to keep them in despondency.
So you believe this government wants to keep people poor so that it can manage them better?
This president, I don't know about government, because government includes so many people.
It's a system.
But I know it for a fact that this president will do anything in his power to make sure that people remain poor. And that.
But he has said the economy has grown. He has built infrastructure, good roads that they can take the food to the markets. He has educated people according to his programs, the ones he's broke through. The UPDF is one of the professional armies that no longer, Jackson takes things from the people. These are ideas. He has always said, this is how far we were, and this is where we are. When he came in power, on quote, the treasury had 86 million Ugandan shillings. Today it boasts of trillions also. So the Kabuleta money he wants to give the people, where are we going to drive it from?
Of course, you can't be saying that, because how trillions in what? How big our debts as a nation compared to what we have as in the treasury. Of course they have. And that's after 1999, 2000, we were excused all the loans. Previously they would say, these loans were accumulated in previous governments. Yes. No, they were accumulated in this government because we were brought to almost zero. Okay? Yes. So zero, zero debt. But we have accumulated it to something approaching 50 and past of our GDP in these last 20 years under his government. So there is our balance of trade when he came in power was a positive $30 million, a positive $30 million, and it went that up to about 1988, 89. By 90, it was a negative 30 million. Now it's a negative 3-point-something billion dollars.
That's bad.
That's bad. That's even worse than Burundi. Okay?
Very bad.
Now, there are so many things that have gone awry. And what is it that causes our balance of trade to be? Because, first of all, we're even importing agricultural produce. which should not be something we're importing as a country, because that's the one place we have.
That's a backbone agriculture.
Number one, that's the one place we have a comparative advantage over any country I can think of. This year, we've actually had as many as 3 seasons because the rain has been on almost all the year. Can you imagine 3 seasons of maize in 1 year? That's unthinkable. Every other country has 1 season now.
Yeah.
So, of course, usually we have 2. Now, but we still import rice, okay?
We import Irish.
We import Irish potatoes. We import groundnuts from Tanzania. Can you imagine? Groundnuts.
Is African Confederation trades.
So the thing is, everything has gone the opposite direction. We cannot have jobs for our youth when we have our current power tariffs, okay? Because the average price for, let's say, local consumption in the world is $0.141. Uganda's price is 0.181. The other one is the average. So a Ugandan pays as much money, for utilizing power as somebody in Israel, as somebody in Sweden. These are countries that are so far ahead of us.
Yet Kenya takes it down.
Kenya takes it down. Tanzania takes it even lower. Rwanda takes it down.
Has that affected our industrial and manufacturing grids as a nation?
So much, because even industries were running away from Kenya, and the excuse they were giving is high power tariffs. We cannot attract them here because ours are higher. Because the industrial, that was for domestic consumption. The industrial one, the average is 0.121 on the world average. Ours is like 0.4 something, 0.14 something. So you see, even the industries, and now that's the one thing that will attract industries, and there is no reason for that, because we produce 1,200 megawatts of electricity. We consume just over 650 at peak. So there is still a lot of electricity left after our consumption.
Surplus, yes.
And even taking into account the one we sell to Tanzania and Kenya and so on, we still have a lot left over. So much left over. Actually, so much that it costs us. In 2018, it cost Uganda 30 billion shillings
maintenance
to store the electricity which has been generated and is not used. But then,
yet villages don't have electricity.
Villages don't have electricity. Those that have, it is very expensive. And it is very unsustainable for the normal villager. And
talking
so on.
about electricity, you've broke it down a little well. Now let's talk about taxes. What are some of the policies that you coming up with that are going to waive some taxes off the Ugandans, because the tax burden is heavy, like you're saying, and the investors cannot get it because the tariffs are high or taxes are crazy. What does the presidential candidate Joseph Kabuleta have in stock? Okay,
first of all, generally, my plan is to reduce taxes considerably, and I mean considerably. But
from up to the bottom of the pyramid?
To somewhere there. And that is not going to affect the amount of money we get as a nation, for reasons ABC. First of all, there is a lot of privileged people who belong to a certain family who do not pay taxes. And they are the ones in charge of all the businesses that make all the money.
How do you know that?
I know it. I mean, we exported $1.3 billion worth of gold. Go and check how much tax gold exports got. It's common knowledge. I mean, okay, not common, I mean, it's knowledge that can be searched. How much was paid in taxes from gold exports? It was our single biggest export last year, $1.3 billion. Very little or no tax absolutely paid. Why? Because the people involved in the gold trade are people who are privileged. There are so many things now. They extended the privilege to so many agricultural things. They extended it to vanilla. They have extended it now to coffee. Every time you see a law, the purpose is to extend it. Now extend the privilege to certain people. Now they went into sugarcane, growing, because sugar, is a very somehow a business which is of very personal interest to the people at the top. So now they've gone into sugarcane plant, and every time they go there, they impoverish everybody in it. You see, the other day, one of my people in Kaliro told me we're having some activity there, and you go and find a line of trucks, of trucks waiting outside the factory to sell their sugarcane to the factory. And you ask them how much are they going to give you for that, and a truck of sugar they're going to give him 50,000. That's if he's lucky to have it bought. And
the whole of it?
Yes. And there was a time that a ton, 2017, was 170,000 shillings. And there were people who were making money. I was talking to some guy who told me he took himself through school through using just 2 acres of sugarcane, and he took himself through all the way through university. Now he told me, after these people came and regulated, you know, and put agents and so on, now he has 4 acres. He can't even afford his younger sister's school fees, yet the 2 acres were good enough to take him all the way through. So everything has been...
Those are the laws you want.
Now, first of all, removal of middlemen. There's a lot of middlemen now. But I'll tell you this. So the first one I told you, remove the privileged people.
Yes.
And make sure everybody pays taxes.
Okay.
So there is nobody who is
regardless
special.
of where you come
regardless of who you are, regardless of where you come from, what relationship you have.
Pay taxes.
President Kabuleta, you pay taxes. Everybody. Now,
Your Excellency, I'll pay.
Everyone. Yes. Because you're paying now.
Yes.
Now, when I do that, then suddenly the amount of money that we pay in taxes increases. Then suddenly, you know, I have the leeway to actually reduce taxes for certain people, because now the other privileged people who are non-taxpayers are out. Secondly, tax holidays for foreign companies which do not deserve the tax holidays. Okay, now we lose 1 trillion shillings a year on average in tax holidays. Now, if I got that 1 trillion shillings and put it right back where it's supposed to be, and we do not have those unnecessary tax holidays, then I have some leeway to reduce taxes.
But
for
it's
people.
a tool to attract investors in this country.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Thirdly, there are only less than 20% of Ugandans who are actually involved in income tax. 80% are off the grid. They are not there. They are not anywhere on the income tax grid. Why is that? First of all, because they are very poor. Yeah. Secondly, because the whole grid has also been drawn in.
Some just decide not to pay because they don't see the return to the taxes.
First of all, the reason they do not pay, yes, you've said one of these, they don't see the return. Secondly, the taxes are very punitive, so it makes it easier for people to steal them. Now, there are certain tariffs that you put which make people have no choice but to steal. So when somebody is not a thief, I remember way back when I used to be in some, you know, stay in some place, some ghetto somewhere, I would go for to a takeaway to, you know, have get something to eat. Now this gentleman, I noticed one day he's stealing power. So I told him, why are you stealing power? He said that I have no choice. If I actually paid the power, I would be working for UAB at the time. Yes. He said I would be working for UAB. I wouldn't make a single shilling in profit if I paid the full power tariff. Now, when you see something like that, you know something is wrong. Because if
when Ugandans go rogue,
yes, because he has no choice. There are people who are thieves by choice. Then now him is telling me I have no choice. I have a choice of either
steal power,
steal power and survive in this city, or close shop and go back somewhere. And so I don't think that's a very good choice for anybody. But now when it gets to that, then you realize that there's something wrong in the whole structure.
That's what you want to
Then
check.
I went and asked somebody at Umeme, UEB at the time.
Yes.
So I asked them that, why are the power tariffs so high? Why must people be forced to, like people in takeaways, you know, why must they, you know, steal taxes? I mean, you're losing a lot of money through the stealing, yet you could reduce the rates and actually people pay.
Can afford power.
Then the guy told me that you see that there are so many people who cheat. So what happens if, let's say, we are planning to collect $1 million? I'm giving an example.
As a target,
as a target, and let we collect 900. What do? Instead of seeing why the money is low, other than increase, they just increase. Now they increase, let's say, by 50%. And now if they increase by 50%, you would expect they would get 1.5 now. No, they get 1.1 because other people have said, okay, we have no choice but to join the stealers. So now you lose. It's a self, you know, people pushing people to the wall. Yet, if it's the same thing with the taxes, yet you can make them very comfortable taxes, and then anybody who cheats them is a thief. So then you can deal with them accordingly. Not a survivor, but a thief.
You deal with thieves now.
Now you deal with thieves. Not deal with survivor like that gentleman of the takeaway who is just trying to survive. Now we make the taxes lower and make it easier for everybody to pay. Because first of all, the taxes that you people pay in the corporate sector of pay as you earn.
LST and all that.
First of all, pay as you earn. Pay as you earn, 30% of your income goes in there, but that's a tax that can be reduced considerably. For especially, okay, I'll give an example. I targeted that anybody earning 600,000 and low is exempt from pay as you earn. Right now the threshold is 235, but I can increase it to 600,000.
Okay.
Exempt from pay as you earn. Now from 600,000, let's say to a million, maybe like 20, not 30%. Now the 30% comes at a point where we realize that, okay, Chamagero here has a lot of money. Even if we take off 30%, he will still have enough to survive.
He will be comfortable.
He will still be at least comfortable. Now you can go to 30%. But now a teacher is getting 300,000. You're taking 30% of his 300,000, and you're taking off so many other fees. And at the end of the day, he's getting very little money. And it's affecting the education sector, it's affecting the students, it's affecting everybody, because he's not having a living wage. So those are things we can do. But I was telling you, first of all, remove the privileged people. Secondly, remove the tax holidays, which are necessary. Thirdly, increase the tax base, because there's only 20% people.
So now people will be compliant, they'll pay.
Increase the tax base by, first of all, bringing the people in agriculture. Now, when you get back the industry, the agriculture business, and now people are getting money from agriculture, as we are going to do, and getting quite an amount of money, because it's a very rich sector. I will tell you that in Kenya, the farmers, through their cooperatives,
yes, they're richer than people.
They have savings of $6 billion.
Their cooperative banks are stronger than some institutions, indeed.
They have $6 billion. That is their savings. And they have assets of $5 billion. Farmers. Now, between their savings and their assets, they can finance the entirety of Uganda's budget in 1 year. Okay. Now, and that's farmers. So
Kabuleta, because that is very painful. Because of time, time is not on our side. Let's talk about your experience that you've gone through the campaign trail.
But allow me to just add one more thing to finish.
On the financial policy.
Okay. So now, if we bring the farmers to be as rich as our neighbors, and we have more advantages here, and more arable soil and so on, then they can contribute to the taxes. Then suddenly, instead of 20% of the people paying taxes, perhaps you have 80% of the people paying taxes, because
so
now they have money. Now that means your tax base has increased. Now that means I can reduce taxes considerably for the trader here who has been carrying the entirety of the load of taxes. I can reduce taxes, as I've told you, for people, and I have leeway, because now there's a huge tax base. We can reduce taxes and then collect more money, and then we can charge those people who are not paying taxes not as survivors but as thieves, because we have reduced the taxes.
Where are they stealing?
Some of them are stealing for survival. That's my point. Now, when we've reduced the taxes so much, it will no longer be for survival. You can pay your tax, you can be tax compliant, and still have a running, thriving business, so you do not have to steal. And then, of course, when you deal with the monster, because progressively deal with the monster of corruption, then they also start seeing where the taxes are going. Then now they have motivation to pay taxes, because they are lower, because they can see where they are going, and because they can pay taxes and still thrive as businessmen. And then everybody is happy.
Okay, that is the liberation, financial liberation from Kabuleta. Please give us your feedback on Twitter. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. I'm picking a couple of questions and I'll be asking them to Kabuleta. It's a very interesting conversation. It's 23 minutes past 8 in the morning. Kabuleta, you've been on the campaign trail. Have you seen tear gas? How has your relationship and security operatives been?
I've told you, with the exception of one place where I came, where actually saw one tear gas.
So you're losing cool that day.
One tear gas canister, and that was Masidi. And because there was a very unreasonable DPC there, the thing is, I know what DPCs have been under, the instructions they are under. So, but that place, I actually just wanted to go and have something in the town, because I was scheduled to be there, and it was the only time actually I had to be in that place in the municipality. Of course, I asked for consul. I've been there again, because after that time I asked for another time, and I went there, and this time it wasn't as bad, but it was the only time I came close to tear gas. And as soon as I saw the first canister, I told my people, we go.
This is it.
Let's get out of here. Now, as I've told you before, I do not want... That tear gas is dangerous to people's lungs and so on. I have told people before that I do not want anybody to suffer injury or worse still, death on my campaign trail. Mine is about ideas. I can propagate my ideas without putting people in harm's way.
Okay.
And if it is about ideas, there are so many platforms I can use. Of course, I would much prefer that we didn't have this excuse of COVID to block campaigns, and we can go and actually organize a rally and speak to people, let's say for 45 minutes.
Without
in that time, without any, as it was 5 years ago. In that time, I would have a lot of time to speak to them. But now I've had to improvise in different ways. So, but the reason I have not had tear gas is because I have deliberately set out to make sure that it is not a factor of my campaign.
Okay.
And it was just an unfortunate incident that it happened to me once. And it hasn't happened to me again. I do not anticipate it will happen to me again. And just because mine is about the message, the issues, the message, nothing more. The message.
Your opponents in the NRM have accused some of the independent candidates like you lacking a significant manifesto or significant basis for your campaign. Is that true?
Oh my God! If anybody in NRM accuses somebody of not having a significant manifesto, then this world is the end of the world is about, because their manifesto is full of rubbish. Is full of rubbish, full of things that are not implemented, full of empty promises.
And they're saying that you're full of conspiracy theories that will never materialize.
Well, they can say what they want, but the truth is, my manifesto is very workable and I did, because I know not everybody is going to be reading 50 pages of a manifesto. So I did the long manifesto, but that's to guide me. Then I did a halfway manifesto, which is like 20-something pages. That was the one for consumption. It's the one I launched in Gulu on 10th of November. Then I did a abridged version of a manifesto, very brief, with just action points in every sector, every key sector action points. So education, health, tourism, agriculture, and so on. Just what are the problems, what are the strengths, what are we going to do? An abridged one. So, which is just a working document, and that one I've given mostly to our campaign agents, because it's a very brief document, a few pages.
It can be processed.
They can be processed by anyone, so it's just our campaign agents who read what we have to do there and know what Kabuleta's financial liberation is all about.
Kabuleta, let's talk about the oil. What's your plan for the oil industry as a nation? That is the oil in Bunyoro, to avoid the situation where it turns into a gas. What's your plan like?
No, it's not just in Bunyoro, by the way. There's a lot of, now most of it actually is coming from Pakwach.
Oh, yes.
So there's a lot of oil, by the way, and a lot more is yet to be discovered. Now, if we actually, because a lot of agreements have already been entered as it is, and I've been trying to look at some of the things, the knowledge available in that area. There's been talk of the refinery. I don't know how feasible. I haven't gone into the details of how feasible that is. But the whole extracting of the oil and so on, the $24 billion that we did, and how shares are being sold here and there by different companies from the first one, and people have been making money off our oil before it even comes out of the ground. You know that. So I've been looking at some of the agreements. Of course, they are secret. Nobody is going to give you what the oil agreements are about. But the one thing I would want is, first of all, to make sure that it's a national resource, because it has been personalized. We are selling crude oil outside of this country. That one is a fact. You see, the thing is, they try to conceal these things, but you cannot sell anything in the world right now, and it is not known.
It will be tracked.
It will be tracked because there are people who gauge how much crude oil is being sold. Uganda is one of the countries named there as crude oil exporters. Kenya is there as well, but the difference between them and us is that they declare their oil. Ours is done secretly. And trucks are moving out of the oil wells and going and moving. And of course, I wrote about that in one of my rants and put me in a lot of trouble. But it's the truth. So first of all, we want the oil to be a national resource. Secondly, we want the people who are around that place to be beneficiaries rather than net losers. Because what has been happening with all oil-rich places, you remember the Ogoni people in Nigeria and Ken Saro-Wiwa, and how these foreign companies come and destroy everything in the place. People cannot even have agriculture and what. And of course, they use corrupt politicians. Now, we want the people in the places where there is oil. Currently, the Albertine region, but also a bit of Pakwach and other places, to be net gain people gaining.
So they have to benefit first.
Benefit, first of all, in terms of jobs, in terms of, there are so many jobs to be done in those places, small-time contracting and things like that, so that they do not, because it's for the good of everybody. Remember when they were setting oil wells on fire in Nigeria?
Yes.
So you need people to be happy, you need people to be beneficiaries. As long as they are not, you are in serious trouble. The people where the resource is coming from. And then we need it to be a national resource, so that we know that the oil of this country.
What do you mean by now it's not a national resource?
Oh, but you've had the president saying my oil.
Right there. We're going to take a break for now. It's still morning at NTV. Keep your feedback coming in. Just to sample a little bit, Martin N. Nyaroki on Twitter, he goes that for anyone who is voting issues, Joseph Kabuleta is your man. However, let's talk about the first-hand threats and the opposition resolve on both sides taking the seat by force regardless. And the violence talk is going to talk about it. Kigongo, theorist, says Kabuleta knows what he's talking about, how he's planning to get the Balokole vote and all that. And this one is saying, how is Kabuleta planning to get us to vote without masks? These and more questions are going to be answered shortly after this break. It's morning at NTV. We'll have a break for now.
Watching Morning at NTV.
Morning at NTV. We're live from Kampala Serena Conference Center. I'm Andrew Chamagero. I'm on 2 hours, and today we are very gratified to have a presidential candidate, an independent presidential candidate, His Excellency in waiting, Joseph Kabuleta, and we're discussing a couple of issues. Well, Mr. Kabuleta, without any further ado, because of time, if you're elected president, how would you address the questions of entrenching doctrine of separation of powers, the rule of law, professionalization of the army, and Uganda's regional and international relations?
Of course, that's a big issue, because that has been the one thing that, let's say, this government has completely turned the other way. First of all, laws have just been documents that they use to propagate themselves. They have not been something they respect at all. Secondly, everything Museveni has done in his 35 years in power, 35 years, 26 this month, has been about one thing only, that is having all power vested in the office of the presidency, or rather in himself. In other words, turning Uganda into a family and him as the semaka. And he has done that so skillfully that you can see parliament have been emasculated, you can see the judiciary are very scared, you can see every institution in the country is subservient to him. There is no form of independence. Now, we cannot aspire to have all the economic things that I speak about here, unless we first of all have separation of powers, freedoms, basic freedoms as a nation. We have to give parliament back its bite. We have to give the judiciary back their bite. They have to be in position to make decisions that hurt the executive without fear without fear of being targeted financially, especially, because what they fear is you make a certain decision, they can destroy your finances in a short time, and they use that a lot. They use the fear for that. So we have to be. Kabuleta has to know when he's president that a judge can rule against me, and there are no consequences.
And you respect it.
And I respect it, and there are no consequences for him or for his family or for his security or his finances. We have to give parliament back its bite. All those things add a lot of value to a nation. We have to give people back their freedoms to express themselves. Media, I'm a media person, and the whole thing about freedom of media is at the core of all my thinking. And actually, all freedoms are actually based on the freedom of media. Because when the media is gagged, then all the other things are not exposed, and then they get away, with a lot of things. So all those things have to be done. Although my issue is mostly in the financial area, putting money in people's pockets. By reducing, the things that have been taking the money away. But the issues of rule of law, the issues of separation of powers are very dear to me. The issues of giving certain institutions their power back, and I'm talking about for instance, religious institutions. I'm talking about traditional institutions, which are there, but they do not feel, and I've visited some of these people, and you know that they don't feel, because they don't feel in charge. They feel that they have an overbearing hand over them, so they don't feel that they are in charge of anything. So you go and they are you know, murmurings and so on, because everybody is scared. You find murmurings among the Muslims and discontent about ABC and so on, and yet they have their institution there and supposed to have its power and so on, but has been taken away. You know, through threats.
You want to bridge back then?
You have your power back because you are a religious institution. Regardless of whatever, you are a traditional institution. Have your power, and there is no power without money. You see, eh? And so have all your money, your ability to get your things, you know, what is yours to become yours. That's what gives you power. So all those people, so at all these institutions. As much power as possible is divested out of the office of the president, so that now we remain to making policies which are going to make people rich.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the Electoral Commission's election preparations to the election day?
Now the thing is, it's not for me to be satisfied any more than as a footballer you would say, are you satisfied with the referee's preparations? That's his business. For yours is to make sure you're fit, you're in the right state of mind, right, and so on. So of course I know there will be the Electoral there's nothing they have done right from the beginning. You know, there's confusion in this, confusion in that. The rules are made as we go along, and
then why you are part of a game where the referee doesn't seem to be, you know, balanced?
Haven't you watched football games when the referee is very biased? Have you watched people walking off the pitch? That's a lack of professionalism. We used to do it way back in the village. They award the penalty against you and you walk off the pitch. Have you seen it in the Premier League? Haven't you seen?
You stay on the pitch.
Haven't you seen biased refereeing? But the people stay on the pitch because that's professionalism. Then you can go and seek adjudication afterwards and say that, you know, that red card was unfair, this and so on. So the answer I always give people when they tell me, why are you in a race when you think it's not going to be free and fair? I say that I've been in university, and you know, this lecturer doesn't like me. He's not going to mark me fairly. But I cannot say I'm not going to sit for the exam because I fail by just not sitting. But at least let me go and sit, even if I do not expect to be judged fairly.
You played your role.
I go and sit the exam as best as I can. Now I can then go and complain to the Senate and say, this guy, you know, perhaps we went for the same girl. He doesn't like me, so he's not marked me fairly. Then they can get my paper and give it to another lecturer
to mark.
But if I don't sit for the exam, I fail from the start.
Kabuleta, lastly, what do you plan to do if you're not successful in the polls on Jan 14th? And will you go to court, or you'll join the winners and wish them good, or you'll join opposition?
Join opposition. I am in opposition.
No, as a party.
As a party. The thing is, it depends on how the election goes. It depends. If I'm not successful, that's a very big. There's
a very big but.
No, okay. The point is, okay. Maybe if I'm not successful, depends on what percentage of votes have I got? How much have I propagated myself as a message? What's on? So everything I do depends on that. I might be unsuccessful, but maybe I got 48%. And the winner got 50. So that makes it a whole new different ball game. But I might be unsuccessful, and let's say I got okay, I will not say, but a small figure. So everything depends on that. So right now my focus is making sure I get as much as possible of this message, and I win as much as possible of this message out there to get people to vote for me, and I win. Now what happens after that depends on the nature of
As we're finalizing this conversation, your last word to the Ugandans on board. Just give them your last word, your parting shots, and we could call it a day, Your Excellency in waiting.
My last word is I just want to request all Ugandans to go and vote for the issues. I want you to see the correlation between your vote and your life. Do not just think about, I'm voting for this or the other reason. The thing has got to be about yourself. And votes are very personal issues. And now your vote is a statement more than anything else. Even when it is, it's a statement that this is what I believe in. And that has got to be the thinking, because we are going forward. Because you see, so many people think about elections in this Museveni era. It's going to come. It's coming to an end. Okay. Now Kabuleta is not thinking about elections in this Museveni. I'm thinking about elections when they are actually in a democratic era, when people are discussing issues and so on. So we have to be futuristic in our thinking if we are actually going to reach there when we are ready. Because what if Museveni goes now? Are we of necessity ready for a life after him? And he's going to go. Now the thing is, I am thinking futuristically. I'm thinking about the Uganda I'm bringing my children into. What kind of country do I need? So your vote is your statement of what you believe in as a person, what your intent is as a person. So I want you to go and vote for me if you think that my issues can affect you if I am the winner. And you say now, okay, he may or may not be the winner, let's say, because you know it's a lottery out there. But if he was the winner, I would want him to be the winner because I know now that is going to affect my pocket. So my presidency will be felt in everybody's pockets. Everybody who is listening to me right now, my presidency, they will feed it in their pockets, in their wallets, and they will feed an earthquake in their wallet. And let them just give me 6 months. In 6 months, they will feed an earthquake in their wallet. So as soon as you hear Kabuleta has been sworn in, start counting. And then afterwards, start touching your wallet.
6 months.
Start touching your wallet. You will feel an earthquake there. And then you know Kabuleta has arrived. Whether you see me or not, I might be somewhere in Entebbe, but and you may be in
Abim district.
Abim. But as long as your wallet is shaking, no Kabuleta is there, whether you see me or not.
Thank you so much. That is an independent presidential candidate, Joseph Kabuleta. It has been quite a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much. Those questions that came through Twitter and Facebook, it has been very remarkable.